Hello, and how is everybody today? One of the cool things about these DG happenings videos that I'm going to do is that they could lead to all kinds of different things, and I'm just going to roll with it because everything is spirit. So today I had an instance where I make sure I want you all to know that I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm not making fun of people. I'm just pointing out things so that maybe if you happen to do these things, or even if you don't, maybe you can take into consideration where some people must be in their mentality. Some people just don't seem to understand cause and effect when it comes to certain things. And I get that, but we got to learn to pay attention to what we're doing and observe our habits once in a while and think, why don't I feel good? Instead of just be like, I feel like crap because, the weather. And that's not the case. Usually there's a lot of factors, so many factors. It could be the poisoning of our system and all that kind of stuff, which is true. It's just I don't want to go on and on and on about that stuff. It's important to pay attention to, but these are things that can work on the individual. Each person can do it. So this guy, he probably maybe 55, 60, and he's limping, he's pushing his cart, and all he's got is 3 bottles of pop. He's got 3 bottles of pop, and he's pushing his cart and limping a little bit. He wheezes some. He gets up to the shelf or the register and says, "You guys have razors?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're right there. They're literally there's the wall of stuff between us, like the coolers and the other register, and here's the register and me standing across from him, and I just go like right over there at the end of the registers." And he's like squinting and looking at the pop coolers. He's like looking at the coolers in the front. I'm like, no, you said shavers, right? And razors? He said shavers. And I was like, you mean razors, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, they're right there at the end of the counter where my finger's pointing. And he goes, I can't see your finger. I don't see very well. I got diabetes. So then he goes over and he gets this thing and he comes back and he goes to pay for his stuff. He's like, I got to get some candy bars too. And he starts putting some candy bars up there. And he's like, I got to limit my sweets because I'm a diabetic. And I was like, yeah, you were saying. I'm like, but if you got to limit your sweets, why are you getting so much pop? It's horrible for you. He's like, it's not that bad for you. I'm like, 2 liters, and he seems like a person who's going to drink it himself. It's not for someone else. Like I've seen him before with his wife, and they're both kind of old. And I mean, they're not even old. 55, 60 isn't old, but they both have like limps and whatever. And I'm not trying to put them down. So he puts his pop up and he grabs his candy bars and puts them up there. And I say, if you got to watch what you're eating, I was like, you could just try to eat healthy. And he's like, oh, but I can't stop. I love this stuff. Besides, chocolate's good for you. And he's getting like, Milky Way and a Nestle Crunch. And I'm like, Keiko is, dark chocolate's good for you. I was like, but you still want to limit those things too. It doesn't just mean any kind of chocolate is good for you, So it's like, he can't see because he said his diabetes is that bad. He has a hard time breathing. His sugar's off all the time. And he doesn't know why he's sick, but he's buying pop and candy bars. That's just an obvious thing that if people don't understand, the reason that this matters is because if you see the world around you being drugged by the food they're eating and they don't feel good, and just like this person, for instance, they don't know why they don't feel good. They really don't understand how bad the food is for them and that it affects them when they eat it. Cause and effect. So it's like to bring this to people's attention without making them angry is almost impossible because they want to do what they want to do. And there's 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-year-olds coming through just buying little kid candy. And I'm not putting them down, but this stuff is toxic to you. Why would you even eat so much unnatural stuff? And almost everything in that store is unnatural. It's all GMO'd and it's all that. So literally the word Dollar General means to dull our general public. That's what it's for. These things are magic words. And these companies know what they're doing. People are like, oh, it's supposed to be a dollar store. That's why it's called Dollar General. I'm like, is it just a coincidence that everything adds up? And when I say this kind of stuff, open your mind, become again as a child. Like really think about what people are doing and saying. And you'll see that it is so much more simple than we make it. We just have to pay attention to each other and care enough to say, hey, maybe you should cut back on this, or why don't you try doing this? Even to a stranger. Like some people don't realize that it's a possibility that a stranger could care about them and actually want good for them. Not just say, oh, live and let live, I'll let people be. I see people who need something and need some kind of guide at every age, at any age, it doesn't matter. So it's my responsibility as someone who cares, who realizes that they are me in other form. I get that stuff and I mean it. It's not just some slogan I say. I care about everyone like family. I really do. That's why I get upset. I would, if I love somebody, I'm going to say, hey man, you're messing up. I don't want to see you do this to yourself. And with this example I'm using, just think of how much better a person goes about in the world when they feel good. Now this person's limping, wheezing, can't see very well, doesn't feel good, his sugar's always off. And let's say there's 20 people like that in a room. Do you think they're going to have a great outgoing conversation or feel comfortable inside themselves? No, they're not. They could once in a while, but most of the time those people, along with all the other stuff out there, they don't feel good. And if you don't feel good and you're always sick, you don't bring your best self forward. So if we keep letting our whole society be drugged and eating all this garbage, they're actually never going to be able to perform. Not like we got to get something out of them, but they're never going to be at their top, at their best. And if you love each other, if you love someone, you want to see them at their best. You want to see them healthy and happy. That's what I want for people. I mean, all the other stuff, we can go deep into spiritual stuff, but why not get people mentally sound first, physically feeling good first? If we don't do that, we don't really have hope, because all we have is a bunch of ornery, unhappy people who don't feel good and they always feel sick because they don't know how to take care of themselves and no one taught them how. So maybe you aren't a perfect example, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but just start thinking about what you're doing to yourself and realize that you're not going to be at your top mental level or your top physical level or even feel the best you could if you don't find out what you should eat. And this does not include dead animals, things pumped with GMOs and artificial this and that and chemicals. You got to start thinking about what you're putting in your body, because your body is your vessel. You want to keep your vessel clean, keep your lamp oiled. I'm not trying to use any puns here, but just try to understand why I'm using some of these examples. And I think it could help a lot more to see that I'm a normal person who has to play my part too. It's just that I care all the time. It never goes away. When people are always in a funk or always down, it's going to rub off on me. I don't think like I'm just at this top level, so I know how to keep myself happy and not let things bother me. There's a real reason why you have emotions. You're supposed to gauge those emotions and act accordingly. Don't overreact, but respond and be there. And if the occasion calls for you to be a little angry or a little anxious or aggressive, then so be it. That's what emotions are for. Let yourself feel it and actually apply yourself towards finding out why that feeling is that way. If it's good, work on doing more of it. If it's bad, or if you know what it is that really gets you upset, work on fixing it. Instead of just being like, I'm too busy doing this, chasing after money, listening to tyrants. That's the big problem. So I'm not going to go off into any of that stuff, but I hope this gives a good example of if we help our society feel better and we stand up and start making a better food system, it all starts from square one. You're not going to affect the world that much by going out there and exposing all the corruption, because everyone's like, I don't feel good. I don't care. I just want to eat my garbage and watch my TV shows. Until we work on people and allow them to realize that they are valuable, there's really no hope. That's where it really starts. All the other stuff we can go into, what happens when we die and everything. I can actually tell you about so much stuff. But if I don't have a person with operating brain, it doesn't work too well. Because then they just get offended at the first thing that's like, oh, but I like doing that. I'm like, what if it's immoral? I like doing it anyway. I don't care. So you don't have any morals. Oh, yeah, I have a lot of morals. You just said something that really shows that you're kind of immoral. Well, and they get mad about it because they don't know how to really think. They were never taught how to think. They were taught how to listen and follow instructions or observe a pattern for long enough so they can just do it over and over, go into some routine. We got to get out of that. That's the trap. The biggest trap is feeling sick, just doing what you can to make money. Simple stuff. Things that aren't real have been made so important. Like going to get some money, value. I won't do anything for you because I'm too busy. Hey man, can you help me move this thing upstairs? I got to get somewhere, man. I'll give you $100. Well, all of a sudden my schedule just cleared up and I can help you for $100. This magic paper you wave around, woohoo, dollar. Boy, oh boy. If people actually know what a dollar actually comes from, it literally means to play you like a doll. I mean, A means to activate, R means reference. Doll is something that isn't dull, D-U-L-L. It's to and from, it's ongoing as it lies between two L's. You know, it's just there. It's a doll. You can be my baby doll, or you can have a doll. But now you're being played like one. You're using a piece of paper to operate your life. You're being played. It's actually all ridiculous, childish stuff if you look at it deeper. Some of it's very insulting. It's horrible. Even the word finance means the concept of being done, the concept of death, finis. You know, think about it. Finance, financial, means your concept identified as it lies, or active as it lies. Financial, you're saying that your concept is decided by this. Fine, you're financial, whatever. It's just ridiculous stuff, and we can go into that kind of thing. I just didn't really feel like breaking down any words, and most people won't understand unless they really start paying attention to some of the other stuff I'm talking about, and that would just sound like, this is breaking down little silly words. Well, that runs your life. The information that you are talking about does run your life, whether you get it or not. You take actions on things that you like, or that you believe in, or that you've heard, or the stories that you're studying and researching. Start feeling. Start caring about the world that you're in right now. And if the great invasion happens, worry about it then. You know, if you're thinking that something's going to happen, all of a sudden you're going to get snuffed out in 2 seconds, then boy, I feel bad for you. Because if you're conscious enough, you'll be ready when it's time. And this is the time for us to come together. So let's start helping each other get healthy, feel good, you know, not sick, clean up our food system, clean up our environment. That's what we need to do. Stop doing all this extra garbage. I mean, if you don't think you should, no one else is going to. So maybe be the example and more people will. I'm trying and I reach out every day. That's all I do. There's not a moment that I'm not trying to help somebody. And it's not like in stupid ways. It's all in ways that people can use to make their life better. So until next time, peace and God bless.